So I felt that today that this shadow number 5 and shadow number 6 wasn't something I could use other types of video on. It was something that I needed to come out and talk to y'all about personally. Um, because these two, to be honest, were my top two. Uh, the controller is shadow number 5. This shows up as needing everything done your way. You struggle to delegate. You feel anxious when you're not in charge. This one, when I started going through this part of my shadow work journey, well, I'll be honest, I still struggle with it. Um, but as with everyone else, I'm a work in progress as well. But this one, I really noticed it and started paying attention to it when I was in a leadership position in a previous job back in like 2012 to 2015. And at that point, I was a shift leader at a restaurant that I was working at. And I was one of those types of people that I had to get my elbows deep doing the job. I had a crew that I managed and I led, but I found I was doing a lot of the work that I really didn't have to do because I was supposed to be delegating that out to those individuals. And what I found, or the struggle of not integrating that aspect of ourselves, is exhaustion. It's strained relationships and it's constant tension. And I feel that's 100% true. I spent those years exhausted because I didn't know how to let go of that control within myself. And when you find out that that's one of your top shadow types and you start integrating it and letting go of that control, you realize that control starts to feel like safety. But it's usually that fear of being hurt or blindsided that will keep you from letting go of that control. And when you learn to integrate it, it looks like trust, it looks like healthy leadership, and it looks like letting go without losing yourself. Shadow type number 6 was definitely and is still definitely one of the ones that I work on daily, and it's the rescuer. You're the strong one, you're the helper, you're the fixer. For me, the biggest struggle still is with my kids. They're both adults, but as a mom, you see your kids and you don't want them to hurt. You don't want them to struggle. You don't want them to be in a painful situation, whatever that situation is. And over the past 2 to 3 years, I've really been working on that aspect of myself. And I realized in thinking that I had to fix it for them, in the long run, I was doing more damage to them than I was actually helping them. Because all of us in life have to learn lessons. And it may be for those of us that are stubborn, may be the hard way. And my girls, I'll say they're like me. They are pretty stubborn. But when we learn to integrate that shadow, we don't absorb other people's problems. We learn to help without overgiving. We learn to help without feeling responsible for their problems. And like I said, as a mother, You look at your kids and you see them struggling, but at the end of the day, we're all adults at this point. It's not like someone with my grandkids, they are going to struggle and they're going to need that help and that assistance because they're still learning. And at the end of the day, we all are, but if we keep fixing it, whatever the issue is, those adult children don't learn the things that they need to learn to integrate their aspects of their shadow within themselves. They don't learn to overcome those obstacles in life. And the struggle of not integrating the rescuer side of ourselves is we end up burnout 100%. Um, Resentment. I know that may sound strange, but bear with me here. When we're constantly helping someone else, but they're not pouring back into our cup, at the end of the day, we start resenting them. We're like, we're always fixing stuff for you, but you never help me with X, Y, and Z. We're going to stay in that struggle of resentment. And ultimately, it gives us the feeling of not being seen because we're constantly fixing them, but at the end of the day, do they see us when we're struggling? So we feel unseen within ourselves. And that integration consists, will make us feel once we integrate it is we have that compassion, but we have boundaries. We help from choice, not obligation. And there's a big difference there. Say, you've got a choice, and this one was the one that my own mentor has helped me see, in my life is you may have $600 in your bank account and your kid needs 300. But what happens when you give your kid that $300? That leaves you with only 300. How many bills do you have to pay at the end of the month that you needed that money for? And when you pour out of your own cup, whether emotionally, mentally, physically, financially, and you don't have that to put back, or someone's not pouring that back into you, that's where you actually end up hurting yourself more than actually helping the other person. And so you learn to do it by choice instead of that feeling of obligation to your kid. You say, you know what? Yeah, I mean, right now I just can't. And that is a very, very hard thing to say to a child, your adult children, or a family member, or even a friend. But it's important for you in your own life to stay true to helping yourself rise above and rise out of these shadows. The next ones are shadow number 7 and 8. Please follow, and we'll go into those as well.